Hello, welcome to the DD podcast. This is where we speak to female experts about all things relevant to working women in India today, from relationships, career, finance, health and wellness, fitness, everything that you can think of. In this episode, I sat down with Shreya Pattar, the founder of a premium ghostwriting agency in Dubai and a freelance coach, to understand the impact of confidence on young girls and how it gives them an edge in business. Let's dive in. The reason I reached out to you, I think I've been following your work for a long time. I left freelancing in 1 year of starting it. Other things happened, etc. But even then, I think your content was still relevant in terms of how you look at life and work. So I was obviously looking forward to bringing things that I've particularly saved out in the world. We'll get started. I want to obviously start with your background, and if I could be specific, I know you currently live in Dubai. You run a ghostwriting agency and you teach freelancing online. How did that happen? Where are you in that site now? And what's the kind of background you come from?
Okay, so I was raised in Mumbai, and we're shooting this in Mumbai, some part of Mumbai. So yes, I'm from Mumbai, and I studied here. I finished my schooling here. Like this, I'm a typical Bombay girl. And then I moved for university to Dublin, and I studied literature and philosophy there. Things happen, and because a lot of things just falling into place, connecting, a lot of ideas coming up, I ended up, freelancing. I started with LinkedIn ghostwriting, basically writing for other people's LinkedIn. I think initially I did a lot of different things, but I narrowed it down to no, this is the thing I can do best, and this is what I would like to do. Over time, this turned into an agency, and of course, once I completed my university, didn't really know what I wanted to, where do I want to live? And I thought Dubai would be a nice place to start. So I'm like, okay, let's start with Dubai. It turned out great. So yeah, I'm happy with the choice.
Yes, I'm glad. So what I wanted to sort of dive in, and why I asked like where you come from is my observation on the internet has been that you're a confident person, a confident woman. And whatever I understand is that this confidence stems from somewhere. Some people get it, by themselves. They learn, they do that. Some people have parents that have sort of raised them in a certain way, and they're like really confident about everything. Where does yours stem from? Was it your family? Was it you? And was it just there, like naturally? Curious.
I think I've always been like out there, and I think having that opportunities in my schooling, especially, like hosting the morning assembly, being the one to welcome the guests, the chief guest for events. Like I said, my schooling was in Mumbai, so the kind of schooling culture we have here is like very much pushing you forth towards things. And in that sense, I had a lot of encouragement from everyone growing up. My teachers saw that and they said, you're a good speaker, you're a good writer. My parents saw that. I don't think anyone knew what that means going forward. I think they just like, okay, you're good at this. We don't know what it means, but this is something you should keep doing. And like my teachers would always, invite me for stuff and tell me like, Shreya, this is what you should do. We have given your name. And I think just having that sort of opportunities because people saw this in me, cared enough that, okay, we want to give you more platforms to do this. That's, I think, where the confidence comes from. And of course, things change. I don't think you can just be confident at everything. I mean, of course, like there are things that I've done so many times on repeat since I was young. Or let's say I've been recording these podcasts I've been shooting for like 2 years now on and off. Mostly online. So I remember when I first did my first online podcast, I was like, I'm not sure what I'm doing. And I had lots of notes and like a glass of water and everything, So it was that preparation. But over time now, it's become like, okay, she's just confident, So it's practice.
Yeah, I remember reading on one of your live Q&As on Instagram where you said, I think confidence in your ability, apart from practice, also comes from just doing the thing you said. You told yourself you would do. I don't think I've forgotten that line since then, right? I mean, if you've told yourself to wake up, that you will wake up at 7 a.m., do that repeatedly. Only then you believe you do. For example, I can't myself believe that I will wake up at 6 a.m. because I never follow through on that. So I think that is something I remember from this as well. So how does this confidence growing up that you have it now, how has that helped you at work? Especially because you don't do something conventional, right? It is you talking to new people all the time. You're by yourself. You're building something. Most times you probably have to explain to somebody what freelancing also is. Right? You've gone through that phase. Now, obviously, the world is a different place. So how has that confidence, particularly as a trait, helped you at work and what you've built?
I think I still didn't have that, obviously, when I started freelancing. I was so lost. I was learning. Of course, I was learning. I didn't really have someone telling me, Shreya, this is what you should do. This is how you deal with clients. This is proper. This is not proper. This is what you should tolerate, and this is what you should definitely not tolerate. I think all these things I didn't know, right? And it came from bad experiences in that case, that confidence, because when I started facing bad experiences and everyone was saying, okay, this is just the industry norm. For example, clients calling you up in the middle of the night, like right now you have to get things sorted. Clients just deciding to go back on their agreement and just, questioning everything suddenly. Or having like working with freelancers and just them saying, no, this was done and whatever, just having that back and forth, right?
Yeah.
I think I listened to a lot of people who said, yeah, this is how it works. And I just followed it. But then I was like, no, this is not how I wanted to work. I changed a few things and that worked. When that worked, I realized, look, I know stuff. It doesn't matter what the norm is. It doesn't matter what everyone's doing. If, for example, I know that it's not common to get paid in advance, and usually you get paid like an employee at the end of the month, but without the guarantee of getting paid. So if that's the norm and I don't agree with that, and I'm like, okay, I want to get paid in advance. Maybe 3 people said no, but 10 people also said yes. And that's where the confidence came from. So I need to like try it again. Yes, because I know that this is working. And I think that just helped, just trying things and over time believing in myself that I know what I'm talking about. And this is so important, by the way, even to deal with all the haters online. Yeah. Because if you don't have that confidence that what you are saying, like you 100% believe in it, whatever you're putting out there is 100% you, then people can rip you apart. Yeah. But when you're like what we call like shamelessly being yourself, that way, not in like a condescending or arrogant way, but in the honest way, like this is you. And this is what your experience is and you agree with, and nobody can question you on that. Yeah. I think that was so important because now I'm like, I can actually talk back rather than, or ignore rather than be reactive. Yeah. I think since Twitter, maybe on Instagram was lesser. Twitter, you might have seen. Twitter, you sort of posted different kind of content. I'm aware of that. So Twitter, you might have learned how to like deal with these haters more at that time. Yeah, I know. So what I've also read that in terms of this, right, confidence in what you're saying, what you believe in, that women particularly are more prone to say imposter syndrome, set stuff. Have you seen that in women around you? Have you felt that? How have you dealt with it? Partly you've told me already, but have you seen it in people around you? What has your experience been like? See, because when I look at my audience, right, on Instagram, it's 50-50. It's 50% men and women. And you were there at the Mumbai meetup. You saw it was mostly guys. Yeah. So in my experience, it's on all ends. Everyone deals with imposter syndrome. It's not just women. And I think that comes from, first of all, just not having support systems, because whenever you talk to people, especially in India, I think most people struggle with just having someone who believes in them in the early stages. You want someone who's not saying that I want you to be successful. You want someone to say that it's okay if you fail, but I want you to try. Yeah. And I think not having that support system is really affecting people. And even friends don't do that. And it's very hard to find like-minded people that you really get along with. So I think this whole imposter syndrome thing comes a lot from like just not having the right support system. When you need external belief, initially. You need that because you are already doubting yourself. And if everyone's doing that, you're like, okay, now I don't know, maybe they are right. So all this, not falling into peer pressure, just kind of still doing your best. And I think like overcoming imposter syndrome is basically like trying, and you will succeed at something and you'll be like, okay, now I know this works. And if it doesn't work out, then you're like, I know this doesn't work, so I will try something else. Yeah. So this is also like an experience thing, I think. But having the right people around can help. I will digress a little bit. You've been in different countries and cities. How did you go around finding like-minded people? So I know you didn't step out alone during college. I know you had like really long working days at college hours. But how have you done that in Dubai, for example, even when you were in Dublin? How was that for you? I think it changed like based on the environment. So in Dublin, for example, I got along really well with people in the business school and very few people in my own class because it was just entirely different worlds. I got along a lot with my teachers actually, and this has always been the case, right? I've always been like Yeah, talking to the teachers when I was in school, even in my college, the teachers knew me, and everyone was like, again, inviting me for stuff, etc. Again, not in my department, like my, I don't, yeah, but the business school, like everyone knew me. And all those things were really of interest, right? Like for me, this was like, okay, I just want to be known by the right people, and then they can connect me to the right people. In Dubai, it's just if you find one person, then Dubai is very open. Like they will invite you to like dinner parties, they'll invite you to yacht parties, whatever, like just normal stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's not really like, oh, you're networking, you're just having conversations. Someone's like, yeah, like genuine interest, and everyone's always looking for a way to connect you with someone else, because that, like, if you're a good representation of them, people will always refer you because they want a good rapport with that person as well. Yes, so it's such a long chain. And at this point, especially in Dubai, like I'm following one person I know, and then I go to a dinner and I meet someone else, and then I realize that the next time I go, I'm meeting like all the people that I'm already following. So it's like it's a very small world there, basically.
So at these places, at these dinner parties, you've known like one person and you're invited to them. Are you ever like, or you at the first time, were you ever like nervous about introducing yourselves? What was that like? Like, what was it like speaking to new people? Or did you start the practice again?
I think I'm more like kind of don't speak until you've spoken to kind of thing, because especially Dubai is a new environment for me. Being with such people is a new environment for me. And a lot of these people are like way ahead of me. And I'm more like, I just want to listen. I just want to be a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
It's not even about learning. We just have conversations, right? And of course, there's a thing called comfort level. So if I'm meeting someone like 5, 6, 10 times, I'm good friends with them, then of course we have different level of comfort with each other.
Of course.
But otherwise, it's normally like, don't speak until you've spoken to. For me. And I just go with that.
And how does that like, okay, that weird question, but if the idea is to meet more people at the dinner party, or you're just experimenting, maybe you don't have like a number in your head. I mean, that's not my approach. I don't enter the room saying, okay, I will have like 10 numbers.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, we'll go inside, see how things go. But what if you're not being spoken to? Like, how do you navigate through that, right? One thing I can imagine is that you've just been surrounded by people who would come up and say hi. But has that ever happened? Like, have lesser people spoken to you? How does that work?
See, like if you're in a very small setting like a dinner, it's one long table and there's 10 people. You end up talking to the person next to you, etc. Whoever's invited you is always nice enough to introduce you. So all these etiquettes are very much in place. If you're going to bigger events, even then I just prefer to stand in a corner and someone on the other will come up and talk, And I think just being an Indian girl is also very intriguing for people. So that works in its own way, where people are like, what is she doing here? So they come up and talk. So that also works.
That's cool. I get that. Awesome. So I have a little game. I had a lot of saved tweets and posts from like, a long time ago. I want to read them out, and I want you to, I have specific questions, or I want to expand on those. Some of these will be like really obviously like one-liner quotes, and I can interpret something, but if we could expand on that, that would be nice. Does that work?
Yeah.
Awesome. So we'll start with our first, like one. This is, I think, the first one I'd ever saved. Show up daily. Even if you're not the best at what you do, you will outperform everyone else. What does the showing up mean for you? Have you ever doubted whether, okay, you showed up, and how do I say this? Okay, so you've showed up, right? You've decided that you'll show up every day, and that's going to be good for you. How do you gauge whether it's a lazy show up, you actually didn't do anything? Is that, line get blurred? So why is that?
See, I think when you're showing up to external things, it's like just put in your best effort to like dress good, be nice, obviously have etiquettes, normal human etiquettes, right? And just be a part of the conversation and something like that. Like if someone calls you out for an appointment, just go. If there's a party, try to go. If there's like some sort of conference going on, go. If you have nothing to lose, if you have nothing else going on, like just show up to things. It could even be online. Like if you've decided that, okay, tomorrow I'm going to show up and I'm going to sit on my desk and I'm going to watch 1 hour of videos just to learn how to optimize so-and-so about my freelancing career. So sit and watch that. So whenever you're showing up, like this is what it means. I don't think it really matters if you're showing up like half-heartedly or whatever, because things happen. The thing is, you did your part of being there.
Yeah.
It's totally possible that this whole thing is a dud. And you're like, okay, I would never come to something like this again. But now you're wiser.
Yeah.
And you still learn something just by being there and just having that experience that you otherwise wouldn't have. So I think that's how I approach this whole showing up thing.
I like that. You mentioned this about dressing up well also.
Yeah.
There was some Instagram post where you talked about how when you were a kid, you would dress up, like wear your best pair of jeans, put up your hair on a pony, even when you went out to buy bread, like to the store nearby.
Yeah.
So I know you're big on that. I know you've seen the benefit of that. Do you want to talk a little bit more about what has your experience been? Is there a great story behind this one time that you like decided to dress up and you actually saw like how it was, apart from just feeling good?
Yeah.
What has it been like when you meet other people? Like, does it make sense to you when you meet, say, presentable, people who put an effort into dressing up?
Of course it does. And I don't think like dressing up is not about having a variety of clothes or having branded clothes, or it's not that. It's just having 2 or 3 combinations that look good on you, that suit you, and that you feel comfortable, confident, beautiful, and all of that, right? And that is basically something that reflects on your entire body, and everyone can see it, right? So people perceive you that way. People perceive you as confident, as someone who knows what she's doing, as someone who she's like there for business, as we call it, like she means business. And I think the benefit I've seen is actually when I've not dressed up decently, because I was just wearing like a normal hoodie and some tracks, and I went out, and this one, like there were 2 girls, and I went out to a mall in Dubai, and there were 2 girls who were traveling to Dubai, like just as a visit. And they spotted me and they're like, Shreya, like we know you and we follow you. And I was just talking to them, and I'm like, just today I chose to just, because I was not feeling that good, so I just chose to step out like this. But the thing is, you never know what can happen, who you can meet. And it's also just about yourself, because then you just feel good. Like when you know you're like well dressed and you know you look like you and not like the tired version of you or the sad version of you, then you just feel better. So
I remember, I think I had this was a new meeting for me. I was going to like a very important meeting, some important people. And that day I decided to wear a dress that I've not worn outside before. I just gotten it. And I felt horrible, like, now without it, because I didn't feel like myself in it. I hadn't worn it out yet. And that day I realized that if I put in like important places where I need clothes to not take up my headspace, right? I was thinking about the meeting, not about, okay, this sleeve is not fitting properly. I will not try something that I've not tried before. Like, it's something that I'm very comfortable with, that I know will not mess up at all. So I think that's a tip that I've also learned the hard way. Awesome. Okay, so the next one is, if more women were told to take care of themselves rather than to blindly love themselves, we would have more confident and secure women. What's the difference? Could you tell me about that?
Yes. When I see girls in my DMs, like I'm very real with them about how things are. Like my feedback, my advice, my guideline, like if you're asking me for that, is very straight up. Like I'm not sympathizing. I'm not saying it's okay, you're a girl. It's not that. And I think a lot of girls need that responsibility, that you need to take care of yourself. I mean this in every way. I mean your health, your dressing, what you eat, how you talk, how you behave with other people, your attitude, everything is 100% your responsibility. And you can't just I think a lot of people say, it's okay, just love yourself. But you feel like shit basically on the inside. And someone else is saying, you're beautiful the way you are, but you don't feel it because you know something's wrong inside your body. You don't feel like you don't, you're not eating right. You know you're not moving. You know, you just feel low mentally. And external people saying, oh, you're beautiful, or it doesn't help anyone. So instead, if someone's saying I don't feel good about myself, okay, why? Why don't you feel good? I don't know, my stomach is just always off, and I just feel weird, and I feel like this food is not making me feel good. I want to eat and I want to sleep and I just don't want to do anything. Okay, so what are you eating? Let's talk about that. Let's fix that. If you don't like the kind of outfits you're wearing, okay, why are you wearing that? Let's go to the shop and let's buy something new. Let's try something new. Let's just see how you feel in that. And I think it's all about having responsibility. And when I say taking care of yourself, I actually mostly mean health. It is 100% for women, it's so important that you look you feel beautiful inside and outside. This whole thing, you don't need makeup. Yeah, nobody's saying you need makeup. You want to apply it, go for it. It doesn't mean you look like a slob all the time. Nobody's saying show up to a wedding and don't put on makeup. This is the stuff I mean. Like, take responsibility and do what makes you feel good and take care of yourself. Don't listen to people.
Yeah. I think there's not a lot of this on the internet. And if it was, it would overweigh a lot of what is being said today.
Yeah.
Definitely, for sure. There was one more thing. I know you have a younger sister. What are some things that you tell her in terms of her life that could apply to other younger women? It could be about confidence. It could be about what you said about, taking responsibility for your actions, especially when it comes to that. Yeah. There's some more things that you would want to share that come at the top of your mind.
I think the major thing I tell her is don't expect guys to treat you equally, and you should not want that, because the way guys talk to guys is like, bro. Yeah, you are not a bro. You're a girl. You have to be treated with respect, with love. Boys, even if they're not your boyfriends or whatever, if you are in a group, boys should hold the door for you. They should still let you sit first. They should let you walk in first. All these things because you are a girl. It doesn't matter if you're their girl, you're a girl. Don't expect them to be like, yeah, I just want to be a part of all conversations. No. And I think when you start doing that, then they disrespect you. Not in a way that, oh, they're looking down on girls. No, they're just like, oh, it's just a bro code, Yes. I think that's the major thing I tell her, because, of course, like even in her school and a class, lots of guys, etc. And I think this is very important.
Yeah.
The second thing I tell her is like just to kind of build something, like focus on your skills. Of course, like she is very different from me. She's a totally different personality.
Yeah.
She's very social. She loves going out, etc. And she's much younger than me. So I get that her generation is also completely different in many, many ways. And I'm totally fine by that, I think. But yeah, just like take some responsibility, and it's never too young to start something. Like just have ideas. She's very good at drawing. Just do it often, post it online, which she does, but post it more regularly. Just, again, show up, basically. That's what I tell her as well.
Yeah. No, I'm glad. There was this other thing also where you said women need to earn for themselves and know what it feels like.
Yeah.
I think that's something I've also believed in growing up. But where does it come from you? Is it because you've done it for yourself? Is it because you see, if you don't, then you're stuck in this cage and you never know what's outside?
Yeah.
For example, I've always believed that anybody that says that this is all they wanted, right? Like, for example, a lot of times, and this is an opinion I don't talk about as the internet, but a lot of times people are like, okay, I would be okay with like being a homemaker, and then people often tell me that why are you trying to change this for them? Like, they're doing that, right?
Yeah.
They're super happy being that person. Or maybe it's not what they want. And I believe that they were not shown another possibility. Like they didn't know there's something outside. And it would be unfair to assume that they were shown everything in the world, what they could be, and they've chosen this. If that's the case, I'm fine.
Right.
So that's my perspective on why I want women to work for themselves and like thinking what, know what it feels like. What's yours?
No, I think I have a different view on that, because obviously, like, it also works the other way around. Like, how can we tell a woman that, oh, career is everything if she's not been a mother yet? It also works the other way around, right? Yeah. So, but I would say the reason why you should make your own money, I'm not saying like, yes, of course, have independence. That's important, especially in India, right? Women are not allowed to make their own decisions, especially financially. And I'm talking about like just buying something for yourself, buying something for your family. I still get scolded if I buy something for my parents because they're like, why are you wasting your money? So our whole relationship with money is completely different. So when it comes, especially from families that don't support you, families that don't allow you to have opportunities unless it's their funding, basically, in that case, it's very important to make your own money. I think it's also important that you make your, like, even if you're a homemaker, right? I think this is the point so many people miss. A lot of, even I see this on Twitter, what we call trad wives, right? They will say, oh, my husband takes care of everything, and he's the breadwinner and I love him for that, and I don't even have to look at the finances. Okay, what happens if he dies? He's not going to necessarily die when he's old. What happens if he dies tomorrow? You don't even know how finances work. You don't know how he's paying like rent. You don't know how he's paying his loans. You don't know anything about his bank account. You should know this stuff. Like, even for parents, they should also teach their children about these things. Like, look, now you're grown up. I want to show you that this is how you operate these things. This is how money works, and this is how you use it in case something happens. And that's normal. It's not about being, dystopian or something. It's normal. This should be a normal conversation. Your husband could die, could be injured, could lose his job.
Yeah.
What are you doing then?
Yeah.
And again, it's not that, oh, I can't rely on someone. No, you have an option then.
Yeah.
That's why financial independence is important. And I would really encourage women, when you're thinking of financial independence, I really think they should choose passion projects. They should choose things that they can probably do from home. Maybe even tutoring. I know that this was very popular when I was younger. A lot of these friends' moms were actually just tuition teachers. They were making good money. They were working from home. They were surrounded by children. They loved them. And I think these things, or having your own small, home business, tailoring, baking, cooking, catering, all these things are really fun things to do if you have the mind space and head space for it. So I think these are also career options that should be encouraged, because then you spend time with your family and you make some money.
Yeah. You don't have to be on either side.
Yeah.
Have found your middle ground. Yeah, for sure. I think I agree. Yeah, that's definitely. The last part of your life that I wanted to talk about was personal branding. And I can give you some perspective on why, or what the angle is for us. So at DD, one of the things we do is we create a database of all women leaders in India who are available for speaking opportunities. And this came from identifying last year that all male speaking panels continue to happen. And the issue with those things is that the entire perspective doesn't come across with that topic, right? You are having an incomplete discussion when you don't have diversity. One way to do that is to have more women. Diversity comes from different places. And the idea there was that when we started speaking to people who were hosting these panels, we realized that one thing was that they couldn't find these women on time. They couldn't, if I want a marketing expert in Delhi on 28th, we couldn't just do it, right? And now some could be that they didn't try to look, some could be that they tried looking, but they couldn't find someone. So we dug deeper. We said, okay, if you can't find somebody, we'll give you a list. We sort that out for you. The second thing we realized was that one of these women I spoke to, she was looking for experts in the social impact space. And when she sat down to just think about jinglets, right, from whatever time she spent on the internet, coincidentally, that she started, right? Okay. And that came from the fact that whatever she had seen on the internet with people posting about their work, talking about their work, it was mostly men. And that made me realize that, okay, it's very clear that the world rewards voice today. I also don't believe that you should just invite, say, a particular community or women because you need diversity. I want to be able to show that, okay, how can women increase their odds at success by being present, online, right? By building a personal brand. So two things. One, how has your personal brand helped you on the internet? For example, I know you've spoken about this in the past that you can get clients without, say, the content you posted. Today, stop teaching freelancing online. You still build a pipeline to continue your work, right? So, despite that, how has this helped you? And what do you think of women talking about their expertise online? Or do you think there's a difference there? Do you think it would increase their odds of success?
Right. I think the major way personal branding has helped is just being out there. That's it. Because personal branding is all about more people knowing you. That was my goal. More people should know me for the content I'm creating, for what I'm teaching. I want people to learn. I want people to make their own money. I want people to have more opportunities, more side hustles, more ways to believe in themselves, more confidence, more, opportunities towards living their dream life. And it should all feel realistic, achievable. That's my goal with personal branding. I think it's very funny, but the way personal branding works for me, as a woman, is very interesting, because many people will say, oh, you're a girl, right? That's why you're going to struggle in business. And then on the other hand, now when I'm sharing my success, or when I'm talking more on podcasts, I'm just speaking more. Suddenly people have flipped the switch. And now they're saying, hey, Shreya, you're a girl. That's why your business is doing good, because everyone now wants to work with a pretty girl. That's it. And I'm like, make up your mind, So this is why I think personally is whenever you're thinking of personal branding, don't think of how do I build a brand as a woman, because that's not the point. The point is you have a bigger mission, and it has nothing to do with your gender, right? Yeah. If you remove that gender aspect of it, then what happens is whether people say, oh, you will fail because of this, or you succeeded because of this, you don't care, because you know what you did and how you worked and whatever you did to get there, right? The second thing is, like you asked about personal branding for women, should they do it? I think you should have a clear purpose, because unfortunately, the way I'm seeing content being created now, especially by women, it's disturbing to say the least. And if you think about the long-term impact, you can say that, oh, women should be allowed to do whatever they want. Okay, but imagine that these women have children and their children grow up and find out, oh, my mom was on the internet and she was like, I'm talking about Instagram, like literally just Instagram Reels even. And my mom was like this, or she said this, or she was talking about this, she was arguing about this. And it's like, would your child feel proud of you, or would your child be like, what was wrong with my mom, you know? So I feel like that perspective, again, now you can argue that not everyone wants to be a mom, etc. Fine. But I hope you get the point.
I think purpose is super important, and it's not about being gendered. Like for me, what I think is that it is, if we know that this particular bit, right, like something like personal branding is increasing your odds at success, there's no reason to not take it, right? Like when it fits with your life. Like I am, for example, there is somebody building something super interesting, and they know that being discoverable, like being findable on the internet, will make them like obviously more successful. I think then it's super important to do it. And their gender doesn't matter, like you said. I'm actually surprised people have flipped the switch with this to bed, and that's not pleasant at all. It's funny. It's annoyingly funny, but it's annoying for sure. But yeah, so I think gender only comes in where I realize that if like, and I'm trying to understand how much of this applies to India also. Like I've read studies that say women mostly struggle to say I did this, and they're like, okay, we did this. Right? They find it difficult to talk about their achievements online, and I know that regardless of where you are, what you do, if it fits with your work and life, talking about this on the internet will help you. So I think that's where I come from in terms of how it's helped you. And yeah, when you go on the internet, I think this will happen for sure. Without purpose, just distribution, just audience, it's all again vanity. And I think that's something you should definitely stay away from. For sure.
No, I think, of course, there's so many women talking, like, they have such good content, and I mean about different topics that I didn't even know you could talk about. There's one woman I saw, she teaches like how to walk in heels, and it's like an elegant school or something. This person is not Indian, but I was like, wow, this is so interesting. And I actually started following her because I was like, I struggle a bit with that. And it's just a lot of exercises and showing her classes and everything, right? So there's so many different opportunities just based on what your interest is, what you're good at, whatever business you have. So of course, yes, many women doing like a really good job. And
I think I follow somebody who teaches you like dinner table etiquette, somebody had like smoking etiquette for some reason. Really, like women in bed smoking, how it should look different for people. So I think it's funny how much you discover. I didn't even know people would create it. It's an account dedicated to that.
Right.
So that's I think I was surprised and I discovered that. Awesome. So that was all I had. I think one last thing. If you have something that came to your mind that I didn't ask you about and you want to leave me with a young entrepreneur with, what would that be?
I think you asked a lot of things, and I'm always very dicey when somebody is like, oh, let's dissect this tweet that you wrote. Because I come from so many different places with that. I think, again, I will really stress on like financial independence being really important for women. Just not in the brainwashed way. I think it's not that you have to, like, you're running the household or something. It's not about that. It's just about knowing how to make money, knowing that you have something to fall back on, being able to support your family as needed. Even like supporting your own family, right? Even once you have your own family, supporting your parents, etc. It's so much easier when you have your own source of income. And I know this is very long-term thinking, but I'm starting to think about those things now, you know? So these things are on my mind. That's why I'm sharing them. And I think financial independence in terms of not like, big amounts of money, whatever you can do, try. Side hustles are fine. You can teach. I think teaching is like, women are really good at things that involve teaching, nurturing, talking. Really explore these fields and you will feel better about yourself. So definitely something to
I think what my mom and I would often talk about is that these conversations on the internet are typically construed as, okay, we're telling women to be like financially independent. You have to take care of the family. Like you have to you have to fight to be the bread. That's not the idea. That's not the. It's not black and white. Like it's really grey there. And the idea is to be able to, if shit goes down, are you able to take care of it?
Yes.
Right? Are you confident and capable? Like, do you have the ability to step out of something when it's not working?
Yes.
And that only comes from like being able to have some money for yourself, even if it needs pocket money to have coffee that family doesn't agree for, right?
Yeah.
That so many people I meet, they can't choose the kind of lipstick they want to get because it doesn't fit with what the family believes is either expensive or not.
Yeah.
So I think it's not about fighting to be the breadwinner, even if you don't want to be, that's fine. But so I agree with that. I think that's what I've also spoken to my mom about a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. That was all the questions I had. Is there a parting thought that you?
No, I had a great time with you, Chandni, and because we've met, this is the third time we're meeting.
Yes,
so
I know.
yeah, it's very nice. Thank you for having me.